Well, I was out on the sidewalk at Planned Parenthood. It was early afternoon on a November day, and a man walked out of Planned Parenthood, and I approached him and offered him literature, and he took it. And I asked him if he knew someone who was pregnant, and he said yes. It was his wife, and she was inside the building getting an abortion. So I asked him if he knew that this was a human life inside of her, that this was his son or daughter. And he said yes, he knew. He said he had an older child and he knew that this was a human being. He knew the humanity of the child, but he just couldn't convince her not to get an abortion, that she didn't want a child. I just implored him to go back in and try to convince her to come out to save their child. And he said that he couldn't be with her in that stage of the process anyways, and he needed to go get something to eat. And so he kept walking. I tried to keep telling him, you have to go back in and get her, but he kept walking. And so then about maybe 15 or 20 minutes later, I'm not sure of the time frame, he walked back on the sidewalk back to Planned Parenthood, and I approached him again, and he was cordial and we exchanged names. I asked him then, I said, as a friend who cares about you, I have to ask you the question. If you knew that this is your son or daughter that was going to be killed here, why did you bring her here? Why did you do that? And he told me I was just tired of the arguing. So I just said to him, well, don't you think that a little bit of arguing would be worth it if you could save the life of your son or daughter? And, you know, his demeanor didn't change. He didn't really seem like he was going to do anything about it. And he went back in the building. And so I didn't have much hope. I've been in that situation multiple times with companions who brought women there. And then I got a text from Lucy later that day that she had heard about a baby saved. And I was elated, as we always are when we hear that a baby's been saved. But I did not think it was this family. But then I learned later that the second to the last car that came out rolled down their window and told Lucy that he had talked to the sidewalk counselor on the shift before, and that was me. And they had decided to keep their baby. So praised be Jesus Christ, now and forevermore. To God be the glory. Every day we face heartbreak there, and it's tempted to be discouraged and become hopeless. But I am convinced that no small act of love and kindness bringing truth to the families there goes wasted. We never know in eternity how our efforts will be used. Our prayers, our sharing the truth in love. God will use all of it. So God bless you all in your efforts. Keep up the good work.
Ramona and Shirley Joe, can you just share what happened not too long ago? Somebody pulled over, and what happened?
This beautiful lady with a beautiful smile on her face, she said, I just want to thank you for being out here, because 11 years ago, my daughter came to this abortion clinic, and when she saw people on the sidewalk, she chose life, and now I've got a beautiful 11-year-old granddaughter, and she's wonderful.
That just makes everything real, right?
Yes.
God is so good to let us know about these things. Ramona, how did that touch your heart?
Oh my goodness, it brings tears to my eyes, but it's such a validating thing, you know, to hear from somebody that's been through it.
Yes.
And we're anxious because we asked her, could you come by, you know, with your little granddaughter, and she said she would, so we hope that.
Nice. These babies are created in the image of God, and they are human beings from the moment of conception. And we are here to try to save these little babies, right?
Absolutely.
And we're so excited when we find out about one.
That's our purpose.
So on Tuesday, January 3rd, I had just started my sidewalk counseling shift of this year, and a couple drove in, and I offered them literature, and they received my literature, they took my literature, but then within 5 seconds, the escorts came over and ushered them in, so they drove in right after that. And then they went and parked and they were walking in, and I had a chance to call out to them to look at the literature that I had given them. And within 10 minutes, they went back to their vehicle and drove back out. So I approached their car again, and I asked them if they were in there for an abortion, and they said that they were. And I said, "Did you change your mind?" And she nodded her head yes, that she had. And I asked them if they would like to go over to the gas station over the holiday to maybe talk a little bit further about their situation, and they agreed to do that. And so I walked over to Holiday and met them over there. And then the guy came out and he started talking to me, and he asked me, or I asked him, I said, what made you change your mind? And he said, to tell you the truth, you know, it was really the powerful moment is when you gave us that video. I give everybody the unplanned video. And he said what really made her change her mind is she said, if I go in there, I'm gonna cry just like that girl on the front of the DVD. And he said, well, I don't want you to cry. If you cry, I'm gonna cry. And so they decided against it. And it just goes to show that you don't necessarily have to have a powerful speaking ability. You just simply have to be able to hand out literature or a movie or just offer a friendly smile and a wave, and you can literally save a life just simply by doing that. That's what happened that day, and you just never know when these things are gonna happen. But I will say that prayer supporters are a huge part of it. If you don't have prayer supporters out here, it makes our job a lot more difficult. So to all you prayer supporters, thank you very much for being out here too. On March 28th of this year, I showed up at my sidewalk counseling shift at 9:30 like I always do. And about 10 o'clock, I saw a girl pulling out of here, and when I was offering her literature, she held up her literature that she already had, and she waved it at me, but she stopped and talked to me still. I asked her what made her change her mind, and she said that she had gotten some literature from somebody at about 10 minutes after 9 that morning, which I figured out to be would be Kate's shift. So I was pleased to be able to inform Kate that she had a save that day. Yeah, sometimes you don't see the fruits of your success yourself. Sometimes other sidewalk counselors will hear about it, or maybe even some prayer supporters, but Kate had a save that day, and I was the one to be able to tell her the good news. So it was a pretty incredible day.